Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Panamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will revise Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Unit number 2. And as soon as we are finished revising Canto 1 in the next 3 weeks, we will then start Canto number 2. So let's start Unit 2. Shivangi and Devya are going to start.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we are seeking permission and blessings from all of you, Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru Parampara, as well as Sri Sri Radha Krishna, to offer this summary of Canto 1, Chapters 3, verses 40 to 44, and Chapter 4, verses 1 to 25. Chapter 3 is titled Krishna is the source of all incarnations, and Chapter 4 is titled The Appearance of Sri Narada. Please forgive us for shortcomings and our mistakes. We'll begin this presentation by going over the last part of Chapter 3, which talks about how the Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of Lord Sri Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless sound representation of all Vedic knowledge, and it is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam can offer one the same result as worshipping the Lord, provided one learns the Srimad Bhagavatam from the person Bhagavatam. The person Bhagavatam is the self-realized, bona fide spiritual master. Sri Vyasadeva delivered the Srimad Bhagavatam to his son, Sukadeva Goswami, who is the most respected amongst the self-realized, after extracting the cream of all the Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. Sukadeva Goswami in turn delivered the Srimad Bhagavatam to Emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the banks of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink. The Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Sutta Goswami heard the Srimad Bhagavatam when it was spoken then to the Emperor Parikshit with rapt attention, and thus by Sukadeva Goswami's mercy learnt the Bhagavatam from the great and powerful sage.
In Chapter 4, we see how Shanaka Rishi makes inquiries about the inspiration Srila Vyasadeva got to write and compile Srimad Bhagavatam. Shanaka Rishi essentially wishes to know why and when the Srimad Bhagavatam was written and what Srila Vyasadeva's inspiration was to compile the scripture. All of these questions are answered by Sutta Goswami by delineating the history of Shukadeva Goswami and his glories, Maharaja Parikshit and his glories, as well as Srila Vyasadeva and his glories. In a nutshell, we get the background of how Sukadeva Goswami crossed paths with Emperor Parikshit and joined him on the banks of the Ganga where he spoke the Bhagavatam. From Shanaka Rishi's inquiries, we can learn about how devotees are always eager to hear about and glorify other devotees for the pleasure of the Lord, the exemplary qualifications of the speaker of the Bhagavatam, who is self-realized, which was exhibited by Sukadeva Goswami, and the qualifications of the listener, Maharaja Parikshit. The Rishi's questions also touch upon how the qualified speaker of the Bhagavatam conveys its message as it is without any adulterations for the benefit of the listener and the general public. Herein, many important lessons are disseminated, such as the role of insincere professional Bhagavatam reciters in Kali Yuga, the importance of representing the Acharya, differences between the sannyasi and householders, as well as the life and glories of Shukadeva Goswami and King Parikshit. Both were great devotees, only interested in working for the welfare of the public, guiding everyone towards the supreme Bhagavata Dharma. Further to this, Suta Goswami explains how Srila Vyasadeva divided the Vedas. First, he begins by talking about Vyasadeva's birth, history, parentage, and how he became inspired to write the Bhagavatam. Once upon a time, on the banks of the river Saraswati, as Vyasadeva conducted his morning rituals, he happened to observe the anomalies in the duties of the millennium. Being fully equipped in knowledge, Srila Vyasadeva could see by his transcendental vision the deterioration of everything material due to the influence of the age. He could see that the people in general would be reduced in life, have poor memory, and become impatient due to lacking good qualities. This led him to reflect on what could be done to ensure the welfare of all men.
He saw that the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas were means by which the people's occupations could be purified, and to simplify this process, he divided the one Veda into four in order to expand them among men. After the Vedas were divided into four divisions, each division, such as the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda, was entrusted to qualified sages. This is how the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being. Important for us to learn from this section are the wonderful qualities of Srila Vasudeva, who selflessly did this for the fallen conditioned souls of this Iron Age. Due to his incomparable kindness and mercy, to ensure that the Vedas became easier to understand and more accessible to us, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam so that we may achieve the ultimate goal of life. This concludes the summary. Thank you all for listening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very good. Abhishek Prabhu is next.
Hare Krishna, seeking permission and blessing from all devotees. Srila Prabhupada, Guru Parampara, and Shri Shri Radha Krishna to be able to present on this section of Srimad Bhagavatam. Please correct and forgive me if there are any mistakes in the presentation. So, as described previously, Vyasadeva has composed and divided different Vedas and Itihasas, and still, like as described in this sections, he is dissatisfied. So some of the key themes described here are that what should we do? What should we do? What should we do when despondent? What is the purpose of the Vedas, and why Vyasadeva was dissatisfied? So we see that even though Vyasadeva has composed so many literatures for the welfare of people, he is still not satisfied with his task from inside, and he himself is asking this question that even though his practices are perfect, why there is no satisfaction in his heart? So satisfaction lies beyond matter. One must reach Guru in such situations. So one of the key lessons is that whenever we are in despondence, we should reach the spiritual master. Just like Vyasa took shelter, just like Vyasa is going to take shelter of his spiritual master, Srila Narada Muni. Another important thing to learn here is that when the compiler of the Vedas and the Itihasas itself is not satisfied by these literatures, then how can the readers of such texts be satisfied in their heart? So we should as a remedy we should take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the which is Lord Krishna himself, and which gave satisfaction to Vyasdev also. So Vyasdev was meditating. Vyasdev was trying to find the answer to his situation, and he also had some hint that maybe because he has not properly described the glories of Lord Krishna specifically, this could be the reason of his present situation. Even though the Vedas have um, some bits and pieces of glorification of Supreme Lord Krishna, it is not direct, it is not explicitly described, and so readers may get confused. So this also gives an important lesson that even though Vedas are creations of Vyasadeva, they have less element of bhakti, which is the actual, which has the potency to satisfy the self. Vedas describe the activities for purification, which is necessary, but the ultimate goal is to be situated in the natural condition of the spirit soul, that is devotional service to the Lord. Neither the Lord nor the living entity is satisfied unless Jiva is situated in this normal condition. So both remain unsatisfied otherwise. When Vyasdev is Srila Narad Muni arrives, and Vyasdev, because he is the spiritual master, Vyasdev welcomes him and gives him respect equal to that of Lord Brahma, which also shows that how the spiritual master should be respected. To answer the query that why Vyasdev, who is Saktavesh Avatar, who is the literary incarnation of Lord Krishna, uh, faced this situation of despondency, it is explained that it was actually the plan of the Lord so that Srimad Bhagavatam could be presented for the welfare of the whole world. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to present on this section.
Very good. Any questions, comments, realizations for Shivangi, Divya, and Abhishek Prabhus? All right. All the presenters have already done a very good job. I will still revise just because we have agreed upon. So, chapter 3, verse number 40 onwards, up to chapter 7, verse number 11, is unit 2, titled Narad Muni's Instruction on Srimad Bhagavatam to Srila Vyasadeva. So from this chapter 3, verse number 40 onwards, Sutta Goswami is expanding on the sages' various inquiries. After Sutta Goswami provided brief answers in the previous unit chapters. So Sutta Goswami is going to introduce Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sutta Goswami is going to praise Srimad Bhagavatam. So Sutta Goswami had responded in summary to the 6 questions of the sages. By reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami wants to narrate Srimad Bhagavatam in detail. Therefore, Sutta Goswami starts by praising Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream of all Vedic literature. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. Simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, one can get the benefit of the holy name or the words of Krishna, because Srimad Bhagavatam is also Krishna himself. Therefore, if one cannot chant the holy name the whole day, hence devotees take some time to recite Srimad Bhagavatam, and the benefit is the same. Srimad Bhagavatam should be worshipped exactly as we worship Gopinath. at the temple or the home temple. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. One can derive the same benefit from Srimad Bhagavatam as was possible when Krishna was personally present on earth. All darkness in heart of the conditioned soul can be eradicated. Therefore, all should take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sutta Goswami says that I heard Srimad Bhagavatam with rapt attention, and I am going to speak by the mercy of Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Sutta Goswami also says that I have studied and assimilated the knowledge, and I'm not going to speak from my own mind. No, I'm just gonna repeat what I have heard. I will not add nor subtract anything. I'll just provide my realizations. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. Somehow or other, hear Srimad Bhagavatam with rapt attention. And this straddles into the next chapter, chapter number 4, which is titled The Appearance of Srila Narad Muni. Sonaka Rishi inquires about the history of Srimad Bhagavatam. And here the qualities of Sukadeva Goswami as well as Parikshit Maharaj are also described. Sukadeva Goswami is the topmost of realized souls. Sukadeva Goswami attained the Samadarshina stage described in Bhagavad Gita 5.18 from the very birth. He does not see at bodily level. Sukadeva Goswami did not go through any purificatory process. He was already elevated from within his mother's womb. Sukadeva Goswami was 16-year young boy walking around completely naked. But the damsels did not cover themselves when they were bathing in a river. But when Srila Vyasadeva came by, even though Srila Vyasadeva was fully dressed, still the damsels covered themselves. So how do you understand this? So Srila Vyasadeva is also at the transcendental stage. But because Srila Vyasadeva is a grahastha, he did not pretend to be a liberated soul as a matter of custom. So householder has to distinguish between male and female. And as long as this distinction is there, one should not become a sannyasi. So when Sukadeva Goswami walked by, even though he was fully naked, but the females have a special ability to know men better than what men can know females. And therefore they could judge that Sukadeva Goswami is a sannyasi and he does not distinguish between male and female, and therefore they did not bother covering themselves. The principle is taught here that sannyasi does not distinguish between male and female, while a householder does distinguish, and therefore he is a householder. And the principle is that one should not pretend to be in some another ashram. Sonaka Rishi inquires about Parikshit Maharaj also, because inquiries about pure devotees of Krishna will lead to narration of Krishna's pastime. How Krishna is Bhaktavatsal and how Krishna saved Parikshit Maharaj from the Brahmastra within his mother's womb. Therefore, the inquiry about Parikshit Maharaj is also very relevant. Sutta Goswami explains how Srila Vyasadeva was able to see the anomalies of the future. Hence, for the welfare of all, Srila Vyasadeva divided the Vedas into 4 Vedas. And Srila Vyasadeva asked each one disciple to teach these individual components of Vedas as well as Puranas and Mahabharata. But Srila Vyasadeva is feeling dissatisfied. Srila Vyasadeva has followed the Brahmacharya Vrata properly. He has worshipped the Vedas and Guru. Still, he is unsatisfied. How do you understand this? That Srila Vyasadeva is incarnation of God and he's still feeling dissatisfied. The answer is that this feeling of dissatisfaction was infused by Lord Shri Krishna himself, because Krishna wanted the Srimad Bhagavatam can take appearance. Srimad Bhagavatam is as good as Krishna himself. Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream of all Vedic literature. At this time, Srila Vyasadev's spiritual master, Srila Narad Muni, appears to guide his disciple, Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva offered obeisances and respects to his spiritual master, Narad Muni, and the conversation between them continues in the subsequent chapters. That's a quick summary for the last part of chapter 3 and chapter 4. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna everybody. So I really enjoyed the presentation by all the three presenters. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, I have just one question. This Srila Vyasadeva himself was a reincarnation of Krishna, wasn't he?
He is, yes.
So Prabhuji, all this is Leela, right? Because
You are absolutely
then
correct.
he himself.
Yeah, so we discussed that how come Srila Vyasadeva, who is incarnation of God, how can he feel dissatisfaction? And in one of the purport, Prabhupada explains that this was Krishna's plan, that he himself infused the dissatisfaction so that Narad Muni can come and guide Srila Vyasadeva that the Vedas he has written is perfect, but the Vedas don't glorify Krishna that much. And Vedas is lower, so people will think that this is the standard of religion because Srila Vyasadeva is a standard. And therefore, Srila Narad Muni chastises Srila Vyasadeva with the word Jukupsitam, verily condemned. And he says, write down Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of glories of Krishna, and that will satisfy Srila Vyasadeva as well as all future readers. Okay.
Prabhuji, thank you. So Prabhuji, there are Gyanis who are studying the Vedas and Puranas, Mahabharata, etc. So are we saying that that the Yoga Ladder chapter that we studied, that those guys who are doing, those devotees who are following that kind of path will have a slow progression than those who are directly coming to study of Srimad Bhagavatam
Correct. Yeah, correct
through this
answer.
bhakti mark?
Yeah, correct answer. We have
So,
discussed this in chapter 18. That in chapter 18 is largely Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, except there are 4-5 verses from 18.49 till about 53 or 54 about Gyan Yoga. So we have discussed this as well as in the Yoga Ladder, that there is a indirect path that somebody can take Karma Kanda, then Gyan Yoga, then Ashtanga Yoga, then come to Bhakti. Or one can directly take the path of bhakti, and it's a fast forward. So yes, the other paths are slow, and still they have to add bhakti. So somebody is doing karma kanda or karma yoga or gyan yoga or ashtanga yoga, that can only grant them in between realizations of Brahman effulgence or Paramatma realization. To attain the highest spiritual realization or Bhagwan realization, they anyway need bhakti. And it is very difficult to restart bhakti from the Gyan Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga process because you have stopped something. So stopping is difficult and restarting is also more difficult. Therefore, bhakti, say somebody is following karma yoga, they just elevate their intention to serving Krishna, and that becomes a fast forward. We have discussed express elevator path. Okay.
So Prabhuji, thank you so much. Prabhuji, Srila Vyasadeva himself prepared those scriptures. And when maybe in the chapters we were reading that he writes and corrects this Srimad Bhagavatam. So when he was doing, dividing the Vedas into, he did not have those things at all, rather than have a Srimad Bhagavatam also and leave that path also for people to follow.
Yeah, initially he did not. Initially he was only having Vedas. So there was no correction. He only divided Vedas. And for Srimad Bhagavatam also there was no correction. He just, we discussed in chapter 7, first 11 verses, that the first version that Srila Vyasadeva wrote out of Srimad Bhagavatam, and after his meditation he realized how Jiva are so badly caught up by material energy. Therefore, he expanded the clarification part. He did not correct anything. He just expanded and made it more lucid for us. So he just wrote down Vedas first, Vedas, Puranas, and Mahabharata, which have very little glorification of Krishna, and therefore he was having this dissatisfaction. Okay.
Ji Prabhuji, thank you. Prabhuji, in chapter 7, we are talking about that he wrote and revised Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Prabhuji, also when we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, it is Gyan, right? We are first inquiring Gyan, and through that Bhakti, or is it just Bhakti when we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam?
So we have discussed this also in chapter 2, that what knowledge is limb of bhakti and what knowledge is not a limb of bhakti. So there is impersonal jnana, that those who study Vedas, Upanishads, just to merge with the effulgence, that knowledge we don't need. We are not trying to become a jnani, we are trying to become a bhakta. And Srimad Bhagavatam knowledge uncovers our swabhava. So we do need this knowledge. So this knowledge is the process of bhakti, and the result of the process of bhakti is bhakti itself. So this knowledge helps us progress on the path of bhakti. This knowledge being the bhakti knowledge, scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. So this Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and related bhakti knowledge, this is not impersonal jnana. This is knowledge that is going to help us advance on the path of bhakti. Okay.
Ji Prabhuji, thank you. I think even I had asked this question earlier. It is not internalized in my mind. So thank you so
That's
much.
okay. And that's why we are revising, right? That I have Kalyug memory and I keep forgetting, and therefore we have to revise. And therefore, I mean, even today we have 2 blank slots that nobody has signed up. So I'm not going to force anyone. I mean, it is for you to realize the benefit that of this revision. That we are not trying to put a tick mark that, oh, I finished 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. No, we are trying to purify ourselves by glorifying Krishna. I am not pure. My glorification is not going to be pure because I don't have the words to glorify Krishna. But still, we still glorify based on whatever is my ability. And the analogy given to understand this is that a bird will fly according to its capacity. So a young bird will fly little, and a grown-up bird with fully developed wings will be able to fly a lot. So I am not pure, but I am using the process given of glorifying Krishna so that I can become pure. But my words are not enough. to glorify Krishna, because Krishna is infinite. My words are nowhere going to reach the glorification, but we still follow the process given by acharyas with the aim that by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam in devotee association, we hope we all will get purified. Pragya?
Ji Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Nitya, last question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. When Srila Vyasadeva compiled the Vedas and Puranas, he wanted to mainly address the people with lower intelligence, he said, and then maybe in the hierarchy towards the path of bhakti, moving to Srimad Bhagavatam. Was there just a path? Because initially he wrote it right. Mahabharata was mainly for the less intelligent people of Kali Yuga.
So initially, Bhagavatam was not in the picture at all. Srila Vyasadeva just wrote down Vedas and Puranas and Mahabharata. Why he wrote down and why he divided was that we discussed the characteristics of people in Kali Yuga in 1.1.10, that they have short lives and short memory. To make it easier for them, he wrote it down and also divided it them, as well as gave it to his disciples to preach. But he did not have Srimad Bhagavatam in picture at the time. He just thought that Vedas is good enough, and therefore Srila Narad Muni, his spiritual master, came and chastised Srila Vyasadeva big time with the word Jugupsitam. This is verily condemned. That people will think that this lower path of sense gratification described in Vedas, they will think this is the highest path of religiosity because Srila Vyasadeva is authority. And if Srila Vyasadeva is dissatisfied from his compilation, then how does Srila Vyasadeva expect the readers of Vedas will get satisfied? No. Srila Vyasadeva through Vedas has shown a path of how to gratify the mind and senses. And people will think this is religiosity. Although this is a lower path and a very slow path, and most likely most people will continue to stay in this dark world of material existence. Therefore, Srila Narad Muni chastised Srila Vyasadeva big time, saying, Jugupsitam, this is verily condemned that you have compiled Vedas. Don't worry about this, just write Srimad Bhagavatam and glorify Krishna, and that will satisfy you as well as all the readers. Nitya?
Thank you.
All right, in essence of time, let's first discuss the next chapter 5. Nitya is going to start, and Pragya can ask her question towards the end.
Hare Krishna everyone. Seeking permission from all assembled devotees, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Parampara, Sri Radha Krishna, to present Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, verses 1 to 22 today, titled Narada Muni's Instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Narada Muni is smiling as he knows the cause of Srila Vyasadev's disappointment and discontent. Identifying with the body or mind as objects of self-realization is the cause of dissatisfaction. Worldly pleasure is what the body and mind want. Srila Vyasadeva in the Vedas shows how to gratify the body and mind at Karmakanda level. His compilation of Vedas was perfect, but it focused largely on how to satisfy the body and mind. Srila Vyasadeva did not glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if he is dissatisfied, then people who read the Vedas and Puranas will not be satisfied. A sadhaka needs to inquire with the spiritual master how to get out of this entanglement. What is wrong with me? A person who is Zen person engaged in the service of the Lord is the emblem of all knowledge. Srila Narada Muni is a Zen person, perfect living being, and Sri Vyasadeva, spiritual master. Srila Vyasadeva despondent and its root cause was analyzed by Narada Muni. Srila Vyasadeva had completed many expansions of the Vedic literature, but none of them had been written directly glorifying the personality of Godhead. And Srila Narada Muni was able to identify this as the root cause of the despondency of Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva had certainly given descriptions of the glories of the Lord Sri Krishna, but not as many as given to Dharma, Moksha, Artha, and Kama, the four pillars of the Vedas. Srila Narada Muni recommends to describe the path of devotional service, bhakti, as the cure, and the solution is to describe the glories of the Lord again and again. It is clear that no one can be satisfied without being engaged in devotional service. A vacuum was infused in Srila Vyasadeva's heart by Lord Krishna, so Srimad Bhagavatam appeared, which is the crown jewel of all Vedic literature. Verse 1.5.10 is a very important key memorization verse, and it reads, Na ya vakas citra padam haret yasu jagat pavitra pragnita karshit tat vyasam titam usanti manasa na yatra hamsa niramanti usiksaya. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like a place of pilgrimage for the crows. That's Vyasam Tirtham. Crows and swans are not birds of the same feather because they have different mental attitudes. The devotees, Paramhamsa, are compared to the swans, which live in the waters decorated with the stems of lotus flowers and natural beauty. Swans will not go to garbage to find food. Paramhamsas do not take interest in mundane literature and are interested only in hearing the pastimes of the Lord. The fruitive workers are compared to the crows because they take pleasure in wine and women and places for sense, growth, sense pleasure. The transcendental literature, which is full of the descriptions of the glories of the name, fame, forms, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord, will definitely bring about a revolution in the impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization. Janata Aga Viplavo. There is a great need to spread the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Even if not chanted properly, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam will bring about a revolution. Srila Prabhupada asked his disciples to critically read and edit Srimad Bhagavatam. How to edit an uneditable text? The statement is in humility. Even if not perfect in chanting and recitation of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's full of positive for the one who recites or hears Srimad Bhagavatam. Fruitive work, which people are engaged in, is always painful, whether in the beginning or at the end, unless it is subservient to the devotional service of the Lord. As quoted in Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that unless the results of fruitive work is offered for the service of the Lord, it will lead to material bondage. Bhagavad Gita 8.7 talks about pre-action meditation, and Bhagavad Gita verse 3.30 talks about post-action meditation. All actions must be for the glorification of the Lord because He is the supreme enjoyer. Bhoktaram. Bhagavad Gita 5.29. People in general have a taste for literature by instinct, but their taste is exploited by the unfortunate literature full of subject matter for the satisfaction of senses. Srila Narada Muni is compassionate towards such unfortunate victims and thus advises Srila Vyasadeva to compose literature which not only is attractive but brings about a liberation from all kinds of material bondage. None of the thousands of literary works all over the world can bring peace and tranquility on the earth due to a spiritual vacuum in these literatures. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are specifically recommended to the suffering humanity to bring about liberation from the pangs of material suffering. Anything that does not describe the transcendental pastimes of the Lord will agitate the mind, as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place or rudder. Srila Vyasadeva recommends demigod worship in the Vedas, so people are puzzled. Devoid of Bhagavan's pastime, the focus is on fruitive knowledge and speculation. People are naturally inclined to enjoy, And Srila Vyasadeva has encouraged this in the name of religion. People who follow this lower path described in the Vedas as the path of religion. This is verily condemned, Jugupsitam, by Sri Narada Muni. People have rejected the prohibition and accepted the confession. Such diversion of human energy will lead to a misguided civilization. Narada Muni advises Srila Vyasadeva to describe the glories of the Lord again and again. This is the solution. One who has given up his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in his immature stage. Yet there is no danger in his being unsuccessful. Once engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, one will never forget the lotus feet of the Lord and will continue his service in all circumstances. The aspiration and goal of devotional service is prema for Lord Krishna, not the mitigation of material misery. Discipline and association of devotees is the key to achieving this goal. Bhakti is the process and bhakti is the goal. All knowledge not engaged in the service of the Lord is but ignorance. Real utilization of advanced knowledge is to establish the glories of the Lord, and that is the real import. Thank you, and please forgive me for any shortcomings.
Very good. Archana is next.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances, all Gurus to Srila Prabhupada. I request permission and blessing from all the assembled devotees. Srila Prabhupada, Guru Parampara, Shri Shri Radha Krishna, to able to speak on the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. It will be continuing presentation what Nitya Mataji has presented. So it is Canto 1, Chapter 5, Narada instruction on the Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. So I'll be presenting verse 23 to 31. Narad Muni narrate his past life, and 30 to 46. Narad Muni advised Srila Vyasadeva. Narad Muni narrates his past life. He was the son of the most insignificant parentage. He was not properly educated. Still, his complete energy was engaged in the service of a Lord. Devotee mercy is the cause of pure bhakti. How Narad Muni, an ordinary boy of a maid servant, go on to become pure devotee, that we now know as Narad Muni. How Narad Muni came in a platform of Ruchi. It has been described to the stage of Prema. Narad Muni described from his own life experience how devotee mercy is the cause of pure bhakti. How such mercy helped him reach in the stage of Prema and became Srila Narad Muni. From an ordinary 5-year-old boy, old Shudra boy. First, he described the quality. Srila Narad Muni explained the quality of his previous life as a child of a maidservant, that he was very disciplined or self-control, no attention for sport. He was not naughty, did not speak more than required. And without being disciplined, without being obedient, one cannot follow the instruction of spiritual master. Next is Sadhu Sangha and a service. From the personal experience of Srila Narad Muni, service of Lord began with the service of a Lord by serving bona fide servant, by getting association and serving Bhakti Vedantas. Srila Narad Muni got the taste to hear Krishna Katha, resulting Srila Narad Muni coming to the platform of pure Bhakti. Srila Narad Muni is saying, devotee mercy is a cause of pure Bhakti. Next, Srila Narad Muni described Bhajana Kriya. When Bhakti Vedanta offered their mercy to the 5-year-old boy, practice of such Bhakti by 5-year-old boy attract even more mercy of Bhakti Vedanta. Next stage, Anartha Nivruti to Ruchi. Anartha Nivruti to Ruchi is described that process to become free from sin is to take the remnants of the prasad of pure devotee with their permission. This way, the 5-year-old boy became purified. And this is how Srila Narad Muni developed the taste or ruchi for a devotional service that Bhakti Vedanta is having. Next stage, Asakta and Bhava happen. Asakti and bhava happen from the personal experience of Srila Narad Muni. From his past life, that simply by hearing the pastime of Lord, one can direct contact the Supreme Personality of a Godhead. All accumulated sin are clear from within, and one can become associate of Lord. Result, ruchi or a taste was that Shila Narad Muni attention was fixed in a Krishna consciousness all the time, and he automatically felt detached from the material association. Then prema stage described. All previous steps and the association with unadulterated devotee, meaning those who are pure, totally free from material contamination, plus by hearing the glories of Lord from such unadulterated devotee, became free from the modes of passion and ignorance. And the stage of prema get manifested. This is how the 5-year-old boy come to the stage of prema and goes on to become pure devotee that we know now as a Shila Narad Muni. Someone or many would say that what you are saying about one has to free from all material motive just to fix on Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Shravanam program. This is totally impossible. Krishna say, therefore, do Karma Mishra Bhakti, because Karma Mishra Bhakti is superior to Bhakti Mishra Gyan. Now, what is Karma Mishra Bhakti? It's in Karma Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti is predominant, and Bhakti Mishra Gyan is lower because Bhakti part is very less and Jnana part is more. Jnana Mishra Bhakti means Bhakti is more than Gyan is Bhakti is more than Gyan. Unless the Jnana Mishra Bhakti come in a contact with pure Vaishnava, Lord Krishna pure devotee, then it is possible to get liberated. Otherwise, they will get carried away their desire to merge with Brahman effulgence. Jnani may sometimes prematurely re-announce the activity, but we discuss soul cannot be deactive. Hence, you have to perform the activity, but Jnani, they give up activities, and it is not possible for soul to stay inactive. Now, question will raise why they give up the activities? Because they think activities are binding force. Jnani position is a lower position. Karma Mishra Bhakti means Bhakti is predominating while we are doing karma. The activity in the world can also liberate you when these are performed as a Nishkam Karma Yoga. Nishkam means do it for Lord, but Jnani is not doing activity for Lord. Jnani is re-announcing prematurely, therefore Jnanis are inferior. While in material world, as Grahastha, we cannot give up karma or even Gyan. At the same time, we cannot become a Kevala Bhakta. Also, then what should be a way? Execute the Bhakti so that gradually from where I am to perfection stage to perform Nishkam Karma Yoga. Devotee understand, Lord Krishna is my master. I am eternal servant. Whatever activities I am doing as an offering to Lord Krishna, I am totally dependent on Lord Krishna. Devotee has accepted that I am a servant and all the activities I am doing are under direction of Krishna. Even honoring prasadam is not become fat or healthy. I am honoring prasadam to maintain my body and a soul together so that I can serve Lord Krishna nicely. Srila Prabhupada said, devotee mold his life in such a way that he remember Lord Krishna name, fame, pastime, etc. while performing all type of duty. Accepting the Lord is a proprietor and a supreme enjoyer while doing. Normal karmis in the world, the materialistic person not thinking he has to go home to put Gopinath at home temple to the bed. But devotee is thinking He has to go home to serve Gopinath and put Gopinath to the bed. Thus, Karma Mishra Bhakti, where Bhakti is more while doing your karma, is superior to those who are simply engaged in a Vedic ritual, which means Bhakti Mishra Gyan, where Gyan is more than Bhakti. This is the quick summary of chapter 5, Narada instruction on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadev. Hare Krishna. Please forgive me for my mistake and shortcome. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hari Bol.
Super excellent dramatic presentation. Any questions, comments, realizations for Nitya and Archana?
Prabhuji really enjoyed both the presentations. Nitya was very detailed and very concise also. And Archana initially started on a disciplined way, and then her natural way flew. And she was like going very expressive. Really, really enjoyed that presentation, Prabhuji.
Very good. Okay. Again, both Nitya and Archana have done a very good presentation, exactly like the previous presenters. So future listeners of this recording should also listen to Nitya and Archana's presentation for this chapter 5 and not my presentation, because they have done a very good presentation. I'm only trying a little bit. All right, let me do a quick presentation of chapter 5. Chapter 5 is titled Sri Narad Muni's instruction on Srimad Bhagavatam to Srila Vyasadeva. Those identifying with body and mind, they will follow Srila Vyasadev's work on Vedas, Mahabharata, Purana, etc. And they will think this is the object of self-realization. And this is the cause of Srila Vyasadev's dissatisfaction. Srila Vyasadeva is an incarnation of Lord. He cannot make mistakes. And there is no flaw in Vedas that he compiled. But people are interested in sense gratification. And Srila Vyasadeva gave concessions and prohibitions. People rejected the prohibitions and they simply accepted the concessions. And this became the cause of moroseness of Srila Vyasadeva. Worldly pleasure for materialistic people is defined as whatever the body and mind wants. Hence, by Srila Vyasadeva compiling the Vedas, Srila Vyasadeva is showing the way to gratify the body and mind. So anything devoid of Krishna will definitely agitate the mind. Therefore, Srila Narad Muni reveals to Srila Vyasadeva the importance of describing Krishna's pastimes. Srila Narad Muni is saying to Srila Vyasadeva that you thought you were doing welfare for all people, but actually you have not glorified the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Hence you are dissatisfied. And Srila Narad Muni goes on to say that if you are feeling dissatisfied from your own compilation, that means people who will read your compilation of these literatures will also be dissatisfied. Mundane literature, even if beautifully composed, focuses on body. Any description devoid of Supreme Personality of Godhead are lifeless, are inauspicious and contaminated. Such literature is Tadvyasam Tirtham, described in 1.5.10. Tadvyasam Tirtham is place of pilgrimage of crows. This refers to fruitative workers. Crows take pleasure in garbage. But devotees of the Lord are defined as Hamsa, means swans. Such Paramahamsa do not take part in mundane literature. Devotees will always connect with scripture and not interested in mundane literature. And Srimad Bhagavatam is that literature for the swan-like devotees. Therefore, devotees do not derive any pleasure in reading mundane literature. And therefore, the next verse, 1.5.11, is a very, very famous and a very, very important verse. That on the other hand, Vedic literature, even if imperfectly composed, can cause a revolution, because every shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam is glorifying Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even if not chanted properly, even if there are grammatical errors, devotees, the Paramhamsa, are still very eager to hear this Srimad Bhagavatam. Either they hear from someone or they speak so that others can hear. If no one is there, then they spontaneously sing the glories of the Lord. By spreading this literature, which is full of description of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, pastimes of the Lord, this will bring about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misguided civilization. Tatva visargo janata agaha viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abhagvati api namami anantasya yasyo ankitani yat shravanti gayanti grahanti sadhuva. And then Srila Vyasadeva got chastised by his spiritual master Srila Narad Muni that the compromising spirit of Srila Vyasadeva is verily condemned with the word Jugupsitam. Jugupsitam means verily condemned. People in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you, Srila Vyasadeva, have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is Jugupsitam. This is verily condemned. Under your instructions, people will accept such activities of lower path in the name of religion and will hardly care for the prohibitions, because people will accept Srila Vyasadeva as authority and people will think this is religion, resulting in that they will not make any spiritual progress. Hence, it is verily condemned and this is abominable. An analogy is given to explain this, that an expert physician does not compromise with the patient by allowing him to take partially something that he should not take at all. Srila Narad Muni is saying that you should describe the pastimes of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. It is going to definitely benefit everyone. Now, question may come up, is there any evidence that this is going to benefit people that hear and describe the glories of the Lord? Therefore, Srila Narad Muni goes on to explain his own personal life experience, that how this has helped him, that this study of Srimad Bhagavatam has helped him. Srila Narad Muni describes the appearance of pure devotion and its growth all the way to prema. Devotee's mercy is the cause of pure bhakti, and that how an ordinary 5-year-old boy of a maid servant goes on to become a pure devotee, that we now know as Srila Narad Muni. Srila Narad Muni, how did he come to the platform of Ruchi, is described in a step-by-step process and came all the way to Prema. So Srila Narad Muni describes his own life experience, that how devotee's mercy is the cause of pure bhakti and how such mercy helped him reach the stage of prema and become the pure devotee Srila Narad Muni from an ordinary 5-year-old boy. First, he describes the qualities required. So Srila Narad Muni explains his own qualities, that in his previous life as a 5-year-old boy of a maid servant, he was very disciplined, was self-controlled. He did not have any attachment to sports. He was not naughty, did not speak more than required. By this, Srila Narad Muni is saying that without being disciplined, without being obedient, one cannot follow instructions of a spiritual master. Next stage is sadhu sangha and service. From personal example of Srila Narad Muni, service of the Lord begins with the service of the Lord's bona fide servants. By getting association and serving the Bhakti Vedantas, Shri Narad Muni got the taste to hear Krishna Katha, resulting in Shri Narad Muni coming to the platform of pure Bhakti. Hence, Shri Narad Muni is saying that devotees' mercy is the cause of pure Bhakti. Next stage is Bhajana Kriya. When Bhakti Vedantas offered their mercy to the 5-year-old boy, then the 5-year-old boy practice of such bhakti attracted even more mercy of the Bhakti Vedantas. Then comes the next stage of Anartha Nivritti to Ruchi. The process to become free from sins is to take the remnants of prasad of a pure devotee, but with their permission. This way, Shri Narad Muni became purified by honoring the Maha Prasad of the Bhakti Vedantas. And this is how Shri Narad Muni developed the taste or the ruchi for devotional service that the Bhakti Vedantas were having. Next, he comes to the stage of asakta and bhava. From the personal experience of Shri Narad Muni, simply by hearing the pastimes of the Lord, one directly contacts the personality of Godhead, and all accumulated sins are cleared from within, and one can become an associate of the Lord. The result of ruchi or the taste is that Shri Narad Muni's attention was fixed in Krishna consciousness all the time, and he automatically felt detached from material association. And the last stage he came to prema. The result of the association of unadulterated devotees, that is those who are pure, totally free from material contamination, plus hearing the glories of the Lord from such unadulterated devotees, is that one becomes free from the modes of passion and ignorance, and the stage of prema gets manifested. This is how Srila Narad Muni came to the stage of prema from an ordinary 5-year-old boy of a maid servant. Now, someone or many would say that what you are saying about to be free from ulterior motives and just to be fixed in the Shravanam Kirtanam program, this seems totally impossible. Therefore, Krishna says, do Karma Mishra Bhakti, because Karma Mishra Bhakti is superior to Bhakti Mishra Gyan. Karma Mishra Bhakti means Bhakti component is predominant, while Bhakti Mishra Gyan, Bhakti part is less and Gyan part is more. In Gyan Mishra Bhakti means where Bhakti is more than Jnana. Unless Gyan Mishra Bhakta comes in contact with the elevated pure Vaishnava, the Krishna's devotee, only then he can get the benefit of bhakti. Otherwise, the Gyan Mishra devotee will easily get carried away with his desire to merge into Brahman effulgence. Karma Mishra Bhakti means bhakti is predominant. The devotee understands that while I am in the material world, I cannot give up karma, obligations to society and family. Therefore, Yukta Vairagya principle is to be followed and is better that activities in the world can also liberate when these are performed as Nishkam Karma Yoga. Nishkam means you do it for the Lord, but Jnani is doing the activity not for the Lord. Jnani is prematurely renouncing, hence the Jnani is inferior. While doing karma in this world, the difference in the mood of the devotee and the mood of a materialistic person is that the devotee understands that Krishna is my master and I am servant. Whatever activity I am doing as an offering to Krishna. I am totally dependent on Krishna. I have accepted that I am servant and all activities I am doing are under the direction of Krishna. even honoring prasadam is not to become fat, healthy, rather is to maintain my body so as to serve Krishna. And Archana described a very good example for the difference in the mood of devotee and materialistic people. That devotee gets a new car so that he can skip public transit, which takes a long time, so that he can use the car to go to temple to serve Krishna as well as come back home quickly so that he can serve Krishna and put Krishna to bed so that Krishna can rest. While materialistic people buy the same car to enjoy, to go to sports bar or whatever other bar and enjoying facilities. So this is the difference. This is how we are supposed to follow. That follow karma mishra bhakti means bhakti is predominant while you are doing karma in the material world. That's a quick summary of chapter 5. Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, may I ask?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm taking too much time. Prabhuji, just wanted to understand that there are so many distractions which we call Maya and which takes us away from our path of bhakti. But this intelligent documentation of these scriptures called Vedas and dividing it into four, writing the Mahabharata, etc., are these also creation of Maya by Sri Krishna?
So Vedas is not creation of Maya. It's just that Vedas, the path that Vedas are showing is a lower path. Right? Krishna says in 15.15, Vedanta Krit Vedavit Aham Cha, that I am the compiler of Vedas and I am the knower of Vedas. It's just that it's a lower path and grants lower destination if you are at least, even if you are successful. But bhakti comparatively is easier and grants the highest destination. Pragya.
Prabhuji, in ISKCON temples, we never study or discuss the other Vedas, right?
We don't need to go into detailed discussion of Vedas because it's going to take a very long time to first read and then very long time to understand and very long time to implement. Therefore, Krishna has already given the essence of Vedas in 3 verses, chapter 15, verse 16, 17, 18, where Krishna says that there are Shara and Akshara, means that though there are liberated and fallen uh, uh, souls, and Krishna is separate and above all of them. Krishna is above even the liberated and separate from the liberated also. And therefore, Krishna is celebrated all over the world as Purushottama. Okay.
Ji, Prabhuji.
You
Thank
just studied Vedas in 1 minute right now. Okay.
Prabhuji, in one class, you were saying you were kind of chastising Vedas. At least I felt that you were chastising Vedas, saying that I have not read Vedas. I don't want to know about those things. And in that sense, I was wondering whether in Bhakti Vedanta Mark, we are kind of looking down on them. We are
No,
not studying.
we are not looking down on Vedas. No, we already summarized Vedas right now. It's just that it's a lower path. And I was not chastising Vedas or condemning Vedas at all.
No, I felt so sad, Prabhuji. Sorry.
It's just Vedas is lower path. So I was just emphasizing that why bother about the lower path, right? Take the easier path and it grants you the highest destination. So there are 2 points of comparison here. That Vedas is a lower path and a difficult path. And even if you follow and complete, you still get lower destination. Comparatively, Bhakti path is easier as well as grants you highest destination. So you be the judge. Which one will you follow?
Ji, Prabhuji.
Nitya?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So listening to the transcendental literature, specifically Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing it from the right source, rapt attention sincerely, purifies all our sins, and we will be able to reach the abode of God. Will just this one thing be enough for us?
You are correct. You just need to hear with pure heart, right? So I am hearing and reciting, but my heart is very dirty. My desires are still there. So my purification will get hampered by that. But otherwise, we just heard the live example from how a 5-year-old boy goes on to become a pure devotee, Srila Narad Muni. The example is right in front of us. As long as we follow all the steps that Srila Narad Muni has given us, that start by discipline, then honor Mahama Prasadam, serve the pure devotees, hear from pure devotees, and follow the instructions of pure devotees. Then you will develop the taste, and then you will go on to the prema stage. Not if you skip anything or if you do bits and pieces of few things, say this, then it is going to give you partial benefit, right, Nitya?
Yes, Prabhu. The transformation is really there, and so it's very clear the gradual process. And when we are fully invested in it, I think we will achieve our goal. Thank
All right. So we don't have any presenters for chapter 6. Anybody wants to spontaneously volunteer?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, I can try.
Okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, seeking the blessing and permission of all of you. My Siksha Guru is raised by Rama Vilas Das, and my spiritual master is raised by Sesha Das. Srila Prabhupada, the entire Guru Parampara, and Sri Radha Krishna. I would like to humbly speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, from text 1 to 20. This section is divided into 3 subsections. The first section is text 1 to 4, Srila Vyasa inquiries from Narada Muni. Okay, after hearing about Sri Narada's birth and activity, Srila Vyasa, the son of the divine son of Satyavati, became eager to learn more about Narada's spiritual perfection. Vyasadeva inquired with a deep respect and curiosity about Narada's experience after receiving instruction from the great sage. So he asked 3 questions. What Narada did after the sages departed, how Narada lived and attained his present spiritual body, and third is how Narada could still remember events from the previous cosmic age. Through these questions, Vyasadeva demonstrated the mood of a sincere disciple, eager to follow the footsteps of his guru and inquire submissively about the path of perfection. This purport explains the spiritual consciousness transcends time and distraction. So next section is section 2. Narada Muni begins his travel. Okay. After the great sages departed, Sri Narada, who received transcendental knowledge from them as a young boy, continued his life transformed by their association. The genuine effect of the initiation and devotee association was already visible. So even at the age of 5, his heart was changed toward spiritual realization. Narada was the only son of a simple maidservant, deeply bound by her motherly affection. Although she tried to care for him, she was not independent. Everything was under the control of the Supreme Lord, who moves the world like a puppet. One night, while milking a cow, his mother was bitten by a serpent and died. Though Rajik, Narada accepted this as the Lord's special mercy, understanding that it freed him from material attachment and dependence, pushing him toward complete shelter of the Lord. So next, he then set out toward the north, traveling alone through many places, cities, villages, mines, farms, valleys, gardens, and forests. But he did not become attracted by material things or comfort. His focus remained on spiritual advancement, not on economic development. As he journeyed, he passed through a mountain rich with minerals, beautiful lakes filled with the lotus flowers, melodious birds, uh, dark, dangerous forests filled with animals, snakes, and owls. The experience strengthened his faith and detachment. The purport explained that such travel reflects the duty of a true mendicant. Experience the Lord creation and preach His message fearlessly. So in this age of Kali, we can also, this spirit, in this spirit, by dedicating life to hearing and chanting about the Lord, even without physically wandering in the forest. Finally, exhausted and hungry, Narada found natural relief. He bathed in a river, drank water, and felt rejuvenated. The Lord always provides for His sincere servants. A mendicant depends on the nature and never begs for material needs, but approaches others only for sharing the spiritual knowledge. The third section is Narada Muni experienced the ecstatic love of God, verses 15 to 20. So after leaving home, Narada Muni took shelter under a banyan tree in a solitary forest and began to meditate on the super soul, Paramatma, within his heart, exactly as he had learned from the liberated sages. His meditation was self-invented, not self-invented. It was based on the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master and proper understanding of the scripture. True meditation, the purport explains, comes from the sincere service to one's guru and the Lord's devotees. As he deeply contemplated the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna with a heart full of love, tears of devotion flowed from his eyes, and the Lord personally appeared within his heart. This moment marked the stage of Bhava, a high level of devotional ecstasy attained after progressing through earlier stages, like Shraddha, faith, Sadhu Sangha, association of devotee, Bhajana Kriya, regulated practice, Anartha Nivritti, purification, Nistha, steadiness, Ruchi, taste, and Asakti, attachment. So at the stage of Bhava, love for God became tangible and spiritual emotions overflow naturally. Overwhelmed with happiness, Narada's body became spiritually enlivened and he lost all the external awareness, unable to perceive either himself or the Lord distinctly, being fully absorbed in transcendental ecstasy. The Lord form was perfectly spiritual, all attractive, and fully satisfying. Unlike any material form, when the vision of the Lord suddenly disappeared, Narada became grief stricken, like a person who has lost the most precious treasure. Having once experienced that divine beauty, he found no pleasure in anything else of the world. Uh, the Lord is not for he found the Lord is not formless, but his form is beyond material perception, purely spiritual and eternally captivating to the soul. Narada tried again to meditate and see the Lord, but despite his intense effort, the Lord did not appear. He realized that seeing the Lord is not a mechanical process, but depends entirely on the Lord's causeless mercy. So we cannot, just as we cannot command the sun to rise, one cannot demand the Lord's appearance. So, uh, only when Lord is pleased by sincere and humble devotion, He will reveal. Finally, seeing Narada's heartfelt attempt and sorrow, the Supreme Lord spoke to him with words full of compassion and gravity to relieve his grief. The Lord empowered Narada with a spiritual strength to hear his divine voice, which is normally beyond material sense perception. This was a special benediction granted only to the one favored by the Lord's mercy. Yeah, I think this from here, what I learned is the importance of the spiritual master, and surrender and guidance, and strictly surrendering and and following his instructions. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, very good. Spontaneous presentation by our dear Matan Prabhu. Any questions, comments, realizations for Matan Prabhu? All right, Matan Prabhu has also done a very good presentation spontaneously. Let me also quickly summarize chapter 6. Chapter 6 is titled Conversation between Srila Narad Muni and Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Narad Muni describes how he got darshan of the Lord. At the start of this chapter, Srila Vyasadeva inquires 4 questions because Srila Vyasadeva wants to follow in the same footsteps of his spiritual master. Question 1 is, what did you do after the departure of the sages? How did you pass your life after initiation? How did you get this body, means the Narada Muni's body, after having quit your old body, which was the son of a maid servant? And the 4th question is, how could you remember the history of your previous life? Because not only it was the previous life, plus it was also in the previous millennium. So in the previous life, as a small 5-year-old boy of a Shudra mother, Sri Narad Muni was attached to his mother, and the mother leaves the body. Narad Muni accepted this as the mercy of the Supreme Lord, because whatever Lord does is for the good of others. And this happened under the influence of time. Sri Narad Muni was not impacted by Kala. When one is not impacted by Kala, then one can start the Hari Bhajan. Srila Prabhupada writes, the confidential devotees see benedictory mercy of the Supreme Lord, no matter what the event is, whether externally may look like good or bad. In his previous life, as a 5-year-old boy, Sri Narad Muni traveled and then sat down under a tree to meditate. When Sri Narad Muni started to meditate, his heart was completely filled with love for the Supreme Lord. The Lord appeared on Narad Muni's heart. First, the Lord appeared in the heart. Then the devotee experiences through the senses, the nose, the smell of the tulsi offered to Krishna, the ears, the hearing, the sound of the ankle bells, then Krishna's voice, and eyes see the sweet form of Krishna. Then the Lord disappeared. And Narad Muni wanted to see the Lord's form again. Even though Narad Muni knew the process and Narad Muni followed the process correctly again, but Narad Muni could not see the form of the Lord again. This is very important lesson that Lord is not controlled by our sadhana. Srila Prabhupada says that one cannot demand the Lord to appear, but the Lord appears with the sincere attempts of our devotional service. The Lord is completely independent of all obligations, and there is no mechanical process to see the form of the Lord. Darshan is completely dependent on the causeless mercy of the Lord. We cannot demand the Lord to be present before our vision, just as we cannot demand the sun to rise whenever we like. The Lord can simply be bound by the tie of unalloyed devotion, just as we see on the screen, Kana being tied by Mother Yashoda. When he is pleased, being satisfied with our sincere attempt of devotional service, depending completely on the mercy of the Lord, then he may be seen only out of his own accord. Those who are not free from material contamination, they cannot see the Lord. Devotional service is the process to free oneself from material contamination. Srila Prabhupada saying that devotee does not have to go to forest to experience the Lord. Rather, just do devotional service. Do Gopinath worship either at the temple or at your home temple. Now question becomes, how do you become free from material desires? Answer is simply by desiring for the Lord, we can gradually become free from material desires. All impediments of Krishna consciousness, all impediments to Krishna consciousness residing in the heart will simply disappear when we desire for the Lord. Simply desire for the Lord, that is thinking, feeling, feeling, the hankering is how Srila Narad Muni got darshan. To increase the hankering of Srila Narad Muni is why the Lord disappeared from Srila Narad Muni's vision. Krishna awarded the boon to Srila Narad Muni that after giving up this body, you, Srila Narad Muni, will be my personal associate. This is what Krishna is saying, my personal associate. And another benediction, Krishna saying that your remembrance will continue by my mercy. So just as lightning and illumination happens simultaneously, meaning devotee simultaneously changes his material body and develops the spiritual body by the will of the Lord, just as the 5-year-old Shudra boy already became a pure devotee in the previous life while he was still a 5-year-old boy. And then Pralaya happened and it was the end of the millennium. He goes and rests in Mahavishnu's womb together with all souls. And in the next millennium, this 5-year-old boy appears as the pure devotee Srila Narad Muni. The last part describes the purpose of Srila Narad Muni's travel is for the welfare of all. Narad Muni's chanting acts as a boat to cross over the ocean of nescience because Srila Narad Muni's chanting is pure. Srila Narad Muni's singing and chanting is for the benefit of ordinary people like me. Questions, comments, realizations. Some of Nitya's questions got answered in the discussions we have had in both chapters 5 and 6.
Yes, Prabhu.
All right, thank you, Madan Prabhu, for your spontaneous devotional service presenting chapter 6. Very nice presentation as well. Pragya is last presenter for today, chapter 7.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'm seeking permission from you all, Srila Prabhupada and all gurus in the disciplic succession and Sri Sri Radha Krishna. I will try to summarize Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, verses 1 to 11. Please forgive me for all the shortcomings that are due to lack of my understanding. We will discuss the first two sections of Chapter 7, titled, the Chapter 7 is titled The Son of Drona Punished. These two sections discuss Srila Vyasadev's meditation, and second is his teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam to Srila Sukhdev Goswami. So as we have discussed in Canto 1, Chapter 6, as we have discussed, Canto 1, Chapter 6 was sorry, there was a phone call, Prabhuji. As you've discussed, the Canto 1, Chapter 6 was about conversation between Srila Narad Muni and Srila Vyasadev, wherein Srila Narad Muni answers Srila Vyasadev's humble queries. The conversation described in Chapter 6 between Sri Krishna and Narad Muni, when Sri Krishna says that he appeared fleetingly in front of Narad Muni just to increase Narad Muni's desire for him, and that he wants his devotees to hanker for him, is super blissful for me. I really, really enjoy that part. Again and again I read, again and again I feel ecstatic when I read that. And today's discussions reminded me of that. So thank you very much for that. So in my presentation, let us see what exactly did Srila Vyasadeva do after the conversation with Narad Muni. We are benefited from Sonaka Rishi's inquiry from Sutta Goswami on this. So after hearing about the experiences of the devotional service and the process of bhakti by his spiritual guru Srila Narad Muni, Srila Vyasadeva proceeded for a transcendently powerful meditation in his ashram on the bank of river Saraswati. During meditation, Srila Vyasadeva engaged his mind perfectly in devotional service. He was following the advice by Srila Narad Muni that true devotional service meant being absorbed in transcendental meditation on the personality of Godhead and his activities. So Bhagavad Gita also confirms that perfect vision of the absolute truth is possible only by the process of devotional service. Since Srila Vyasadeva was pious and had no trace of materialism, he got darshan of the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy. Srila Vyasadeva did not take notice of the effulgence of Brahman because that is not absolute vision. The vision of the absolute is attained when the curtain of bright light is removed by the mercy of the Lord. The four verses 4 to 7, of chapter 7 of Canto 1 are considered to be the summary of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, as they encapsulate the entire narrative and purpose of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So these verses, what do? They describe first the subject, verse 4, that the subject is the Supreme Lord and his energies, the Supreme Lord himself and his energies. And the problem, which is described in verse 5, is the suffering of living entity due to Maya. The solution is given in verse 6, which is the devotional service to mitigate material miseries. And the result is explained in verse 7, which is attaining devotion and freedom from illusion and fearfulness by hearing this Vedic literature. So the jiva, by constitution, is transcendental to material engagement. But being imprisoned by the external energy, that is Maya, considers himself to be material cage itself. So our body itself is our existence, which is the root cause of sufferings and miseries. So we are transcendental, but we think that we are, the material cage of our body, which is the cause of our misery. The actual knowledge of the conditional soul is covered by nescience or ignorance. So the Lord does not desire that a living being be illusioned by external energy or Maya, but Maya performs the thankless task of keeping us under illusion. And Maya has a bewildering influence on us. The Lord has put us under the influence of Maya, just like an affectionate father puts his disobedient children under the custody of a severe man just to discipline them. But the all-affectionate Almighty Father descends from his kingdom upon the kingdom of Maya and personally gives relief in the form of Bhagavad Gita, where he suggests that one who surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord is set free by the order of the Supreme. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita 18.54, which says, Brahma bhutah prasanna atma na shochati na kankshati samaha sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. That is, when one is transcendentally situated and realizes the Supreme Brahman, he frees himself from Maya and attains pure devotion to the Lord. The focus is given here on the surrendering process, the influence of association, and developing the taste for hearing about the Lord, by which devotees are gradually elevated to the platform of respect, devotion, and attachment for the Lord. Thus, what is said in Bhagavad Gita by Sri Krishna is said in Srimad Bhagavatam by the Lord in his incarnation of Srila Vyasadeva. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva explains that though both Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living beings are qualitatively one, but the Lord is the controller of the illusory energy of Maya, whereas the living entity is controlled by Maya. Thus, the Lord and the living being are simultaneously one and different. Also, the relation between the Lord and the living being is transcendental, which is why he takes the trouble to reclaim us from the clutches of Maya. Our duty here is to revive our natural love and affection for the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam, written by Srila Vyasadeva, helps us to achieve that goal of life. So if we hear this Vedic literature, as we have been discussing, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna will arise, and that will free us from the clutches of Maya. The love for Godhead, that is the love between Prakriti, which is female, and Purusha, the god, who is male, is strong like the love between man and a woman. Simply by submissively hearing the Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, one can have direct connection with Sri Krishna, and thereby one can attain the highest perfection of life by transcending worldly miseries, illusion, and fearfulness. Srila Vyasadeva saw the all-perfect personality of Godhead. He saw his internal energy, the marginal energy, and the external energy. He realized that the material nature is working under Sri Krishna and producing all moving and non-moving things. Maya dhyakshin prakritihi suyate sacharacharam. He also saw Lord's different incarnations. He observed the unwanted miseries and conditioned soul who are bewildered by the external energy. And he saw that the remedial measure for the conditioned souls is the process of devotional service. This transcendental science begins with the process of hearing and chanting the name, fame, and glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, revival of the dormant affection of love of Godhead solely and wholly depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. So when the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotees, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. So on our part, we have to bring in our sincere efforts and of devotion. And on the Godhead's part, he has to show his causeless mercy. Only when these two things are there together can we think of getting the transcendental experience. So in summary, it is the devotional service to develop genuine love for God and above all his mercy that frees us from the clutches of Maya and connects us to Sri Krishna. So the next section of chapter 7, verses 8 to 11, discusses Srila Vyasadev's teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam to Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Srila Vyasadeva, after compiling Srimad Bhagavatam, taught it to his own son, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who was already engaged in self-realization. Sri Sonaka asked Sutta Goswami that when Sri Sukadeva Goswami was already on the path of self-realization, why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? What Sutta Goswami explains is super beautiful. He says that Srimad Bhagavatam is such a glorious literature that even the Atmarams who are established on the path of self-realization and freed from all kind of material bondage desire to render unalloyed devotional service to the personality of Godhead through the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Lord can attract everyone, including liberated souls. Thus, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who was not only transcendently powerful, but also very dear to the devotee of the Lord, undertook the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, as we discussed, is the postgraduate study of Bhakti, even for Atmarams. And with this, I end my presentation. Thank you very much. Please pardon me for all my misunderstandings and weaknesses. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
All right, super excellent. Any questions, comments, realizations for Pragya?
Prabhu, excellent presentation, Prabhu. Thank you. And then two simple realizations. One, mercy of the Lord, most important for us to be on the path of bhakti. And then hearing and chanting is the crux of the bhakti process. Right?
Very good.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Super excellent presentation by all the devotees. Nitya Mataji and Pragya Mataji, super excellent. Oh my God, very awesome.
Okay, very good. Very good hearing with rapt attention as well. Okay, Pragya has already done a good job of presenting the first part of chapter 7, and I will also briefly summarize. Chapter 7 is titled The Son of Drona Punished. Chapter 7 describes that how the son of Drona, Ashwatthama, killed the 5 sons of Pandavas, and Ashwatthama was punished by Arjuna. But before that comes the point that what did Srila Vyasadeva do after he heard the process of hearing and chanting from his spiritual master Srila Narad Muni? So after Srila Narad Muni described his past life, Srila Narad Muni left. Then what did Srila Vyasadeva do after he heard the process? So by Bhakti Yogena, Srila Vyasadeva meditated on Krishna. And when he attained perfection, he also saw Brahman effulgence as well as Paramatma realization levels, but he bypassed Brahman effulgence and Paramatma because Brahman effulgence and Paramatma realizations are not complete realizations. Srila Vyasadeva saw that Krishna is controlling the energies exactly as is described in Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti. Jiva identifying with material body, which is described in Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Srila Vyasadeva saw that how Jiva are so strongly caught by Maya, and he also saw and gave the solution of Bhakti Yoga. Sufferings can be mitigated by the process of Bhakti Yoga, and we can get unentangled from the entangling material world. And next, the summary of Srimad Bhagavatam is given that Krishna is the eternal, original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is a person. External energy as Prakriti and internal spiritual energy are working under his direction. As parts and parcels of Krishna, the Jiva is transcendental to material engagement, but Jiva misunderstands himself as one of the material products due to illusion. The root cause of suffering is Jiva being illusioned by external energy. Krishna, as affectionate father, does not want his children to be chastised, but the external illusory energy has taken up this thankless task of keeping the forgotten souls under bewilderment. The remedial measure is to surrender to God and to do devotional service. Krishna descends to material world to regenerate devotional service. Hearing Krishna's glories from realized souls is the process to revive the dormant natural love for Krishna. Revival of dormant love for Krishna does not depend on any mechanical process, but is simply dependent on Krishna's mercy. Srimad Bhagavatam is the summum bonum, the remedy for the suffering humanity. One can perfectly realize the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, only by the process of devotional service, and one can enter the kingdom of God by such perfect knowledge. Brahman realization and Paramatma realizations are incomplete realizations of the absolute truth, and these lower realizations of Brahman and Paramatma do not permit anyone to enter the kingdom of God. Impersonal Brahman is also an emanation from the absolute personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. The absolute truth is mentioned as eternal and original Purusha, person. Devotional service is the function of internal spiritual energy. Thus, there is no place for inferior external energy, Prakriti, just as there is no place for darkness in the effulgence of light. Hearing is stressed again and again that just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, one can be free from miseries. One who is engaged in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, immediately the cleansing process starts. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that Srila Vyasadeva had originally compiled Srimad Bhagavatam in a very short form before his meditation. And after his meditation, that how Srila Vyasadeva saw that the jiva are so badly entangled in the material world. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva expanded the glorification of Krishna just because of his merciful nature. Now, last part is that Sukadeva Goswami is already on the path of self-realization. Then why did he take up the study of Srimad Bhagavatam? The answer is that such are the glories of Krishna and Srimad Bhagavatam that even an Atma Ram like Sukadeva Goswami, gets attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the postgraduate study even for the Atmaram. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless cream of all Vedic literature. That's a quick summary of the first part of chapter 7. Questions, comments, realizations.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Actually, I had done the same presentation in the previous revision also, but when I read it again, it was like, I was reading something afresh. It was such a nice feeling. And you had also, last time when I had made this presentation, Priyanka also made the same section presentation. And in that class, you had emphasized that even if we hear the same thing over and over again by different people, no, it's blissful experience. It's not something that you're getting bored due to repetition. So I underwent that experience myself when I read this. And chapter 6 also, Prabhuji, if prompted, if Matan Prabhu did it, otherwise I was also in one mind to, felt like doing it. I really, really am very fond of chapter 6. So reading it again and again is really blissful, Prabhuji. That was my realization.
Okay, very
Hare
good. Very good advancement of wanting to do spontaneous devotional service and relishing the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, even though we have heard this so many times, and correctly remembering also that last time Pragya and Priyanka did the presentation for the exact same topic. Very good. Any questions, comments, realizations?
Yes, Prabhu, definitely second it. It is so calming and peaceful when we listen. It's amazing. Thank you.
Very good. So I will bring up on screen the presentation slide. So we finish unit number 2, and next week we'll revise unit number 3. We still have 2 slots open, and as I said at the start, that when we finish revising units 3, 4, 5 by 9th November, and then from following week, which is 16th November, we will continue with Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2. So take time to get freshened up on Canto 1, so that Canto 2 you will have a continuation and a flow and relishing of Canto 2 as well.
Ji, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, may I ask, what do we do for Diwali in ISKCON?
So generally, there are so many festivals, including Damodar Ashtakam, that falls during the month of Kartik around Diwali time, or even on Diwali day. You can offer lamb to Lord Damodar and sing Damodar Ashtakam. The process doesn't change. Offer everything, the bhoga offering and the worship, to Gopinath, whether it's Diwali day or any other day. Because it's Damodar Ashtakam, because I think Damodar Ashtakam, because it's the month of Damodar, you can recite Damodar Ashtakam and offer lamb to Gopinath.
Okay, Prabhuji, no Lakshmi Pujan, no Ram, the return of Ram, the celebration, lighting of house, all those things are,
So it
you know,
depends on your attraction, right? That if you are attracted to Krishna, then you will focus on Krishna. If your attraction is to Lord Ram, then you will focus on Lord Ram. Right? They are
Prabhuji,
identical.
sorry, Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
Prabhuji, I was saying that like earlier when we were doing, we used to set up the puja place for Diwali puja. Now when I do that, I set up Krishna at the highest altar and then set up Ganesh, Lakshmi. But I do have to do what I've been doing all my life, and I learned from my parents. And when we have studied the tradition, is not the thing that we need to follow, but the one way of worshipping Lakshmi and Ganesh is that they are devotees of Krishna. In that sense, when keeping Krishna Bhagwan in the altar and having Lakshmi Ganesh and continuing with the festivities, that's something not looked up at by
So we have discussed that there's no need for demigod worship. So if you are worshipping Lakshmi, Prabhupada said that do not worship Lakshmi Devi alone. Worship Lakshmi and Narayan together. And Ganesh worship, Prabhupada said, not just Ganesh, but all demigods, there's no need. And if you at all have to worship Ganesh, so this described in Nectar of Devotion, that if you have to worship Ganesh, your consciousness should be to remove the hindrances on the path of spirituality. Materialistic people worship Ganesh to remove their material world miseries. So the consciousness has to change. Plus, I have described the whole process that if you are offering bhoga, then you have to have only Krishna on the altar. Demigods cannot be on the same altar. So you offer bhoga to Krishna, and it cannot be two plates, that you make two plates of bhoga, one for Krishna and one for demigod. No, it doesn't work that way. Bhoga, Krishna is only Bhoktaram. You offer bhoga to Krishna, then on a separate plate, and the separate place where you have a Ganesh or whatever other demigod you may have, put it separately and close down Gopinath temple, because devotees who are demigods, they cannot honor prasadam when Gopinath doors are open. So close down, then give it to demigod, they'll be pleased. And even the lamp that you offer to Gopinath, close down Gopinath temple, and then that same lamp you can offer to demigods, and they'll be pleased that they got Mahaprasad, Krishna's Mahaprasad. And ask for benediction to remove the hindrances on the path of spirituality, and they'll be pleased and they will help you. Pragya, everybody, does that help?
Ji Prabhuji.
All right. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.